As the first week of Bahrain testing concluded amidst technical chaos, one name echoed through every corner of the paddock: Ferrari. Scuderia Maranello didn't just look fast, it reached a level of efficiency in race simulations and energy recovery cycles that even McLaren and Mercedes couldn't have imagined. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton covering exactly 16 race distances, 4,000 kilometers, with a single power unit made Ferrari the absolute favorite, while rivals are having reliability nightmares. But Mercedes isn't sitting idle. Kimi Antonelli's 1 minute 33.669 seconds lap whispers that raw speed still resides in Brackley. We've only finished the first phase, but ahead of the second rendezvous on February 18 to 20, Ferrari has already seized psychological and technical superiority. This isn't just speed, it's a display of checkmate engineering. The Red Bull RB22 and its Ford partnership are roaring like monsters on the straights, while Aston Martin's heavy trial with Honda is worrying everyone. Before we dive into Ferrari's staggering start genius and Mercedes' smooth W17 unit with the deepest analysis, subscribing would be fantastic support. Mercedes didn't just put in laps today, they gave the paddock a lesson in how to build a power unit. When you listen to the Mercedes W17, you immediately notice how smooth and free of metallic vibrations the sound is. The drivability of the power unit is at a perfect level, and the correlation data on the chassis side has left the team delighted. Mercedes finished the test at the top with a 1 minute 33.669 seconds, proving how well the concept works. On the other hand, McLaren is reaping the benefits of retaining its championship engineering crew. Using the same engine and fuel as Mercedes, McLaren has one of the most balanced chassis in the paddock. Although they are slightly behind rivals in terms of weight, Norris and Piastri are incredibly satisfied with the drive. McLaren is now shifting into performance mode, and we will see their true speed in the February 18 to 20 tests. When McLaren's pit wall and engineering integrity combine with the flawless drivability of the Mercedes engine, one of 2026's most serious title contenders emerges. Ferrari closed the first phase of testing as the reliability king, covering 16 race distances. In these new generation cars, putting in as many laps as possible during the first tests is vital, because every lap provides priceless experience in critical areas like energy management. Ferrari currently possesses the most data in this regard. Their pace in race simulations is so terrifying that even Andrea Stella admitted Ferrari is currently number one. But the real story is at the starts. Ferrari has brilliantly solved the 15-second turbo lag that returned with the removal of the MGUH. While McLaren and Mercedes struggle to pull away on the grid, Ferrari launches like a bullet. McLaren is now pressuring the FIA to change the procedure for safety reasons, but Ferrari is using its veto power, saying, "We worked for it, you should have too." Ferrari has already checkmated the paddock before Melbourne. This flawless 4,000 kilometers of data could give Ferrari an energy mapping advantage in the first 5 races that rivals cannot touch. The Red Bull RB22 started reaping the fruits of the Ford partnership in the very first test. Shaking the paddock today with a top speed of 344 km per hour, the RB22 has exceeded expectations in terms of raw power. Red Bull powertrains and Ford engineers have optimized energy management so well that Red Bull leaves its rivals breathless on the straights. However, speed isn't everything. For the RB22, the nightmare begins in the corners. The chronic sluggishness and traction issues in low and medium speed corners from the previous generation are still haunting the RB22. While Mercedes and Ferrari look much more stable and smooth on corner exits, Red Bull drivers have to wrestle more with the steering, especially in medium-speed corners. Still, Red Bull's genius in energy management seems sufficient to keep them in this four-way battle. During the second week on February 18 to 20, we will watch how Red Bull closes this cornering weakness by unleashing its secret aero update. Ford's battery and software support has become Red Bull's biggest trump card for surviving this next-gen engine war. The saddest garage in the paddock was undoubtedly Aston Martin. The switch to Honda and the first in-house gearbox in its history have brought Aston Martin to the brink of a crisis that was expected, but whose magnitude was underestimated. It has leaked that the Honda unit is a full 15 to 20 kilograms heavier than rivals, translating to a massive weight penalty of 0.3 to 0.4 seconds per lap. While Ferrari completed 16 races, Aston Martin could only cover 4.5 races due to gearbox, clutch and calibration issues. As Alonso said, the problem lies in the engine and powertrain rather than the chassis. Aston Martin is currently focused not on performance, but simply on making the car run smoothly. Adrian Newey needs to urgently solve the gearbox calibrations and Honda's bulky structure to revive this wreckage. They could start the season with gaps of up to 2 seconds behind the front group. Aston Martin's only chance is to tear the car's aerodynamic potential out of this mechanical crisis, but that requires time and many more laps. Audi surprised the paddock by arriving in Bahrain with what is practically a B-spec car. Although they successfully completed mechanical tests with a radical sidepod design, the car still looks very unstable and aggressive on track. Audi scoring points at the start of the season could be considered a miracle. On the other hand, Cadillac stands as the team least ready for the 2026 revolution, plagued by constant mechanical problems. For Cadillac, the first races will be a total survival battle. Williams is struggling with a massive weight excess originating from the chassis. Even though Williams engineers know they can find 0.7 seconds just by reducing weight, the car is currently quite bulky and exhibiting grip-limited behavior on track. Similar sluggishness and lack of performance are being discussed for Alpine. For these teams, the first half of 2026 will be spent going on a diet and trying to reach the weight limit rather than focusing on performance. Williams' bulky structure leaves drivers vulnerable against rivals in traction zones. The first phase of Bahrain testing is over, but the true hierarchy will become clear in Sakhir on February 18 to 20. Pirelli has officially confirmed that lap times are slower than expected and that teams are sandbagging. No one has used the softest tyres to their full capacity yet, and true paces are being hidden in the garages. We will see next week what Mercedes' smooth W17 unit will do when put into performance mode, how Ferrari converts its reliability advantage into a single-lap monster, and what aero package Red Bull is hiding with Ford's support. The second week will be the do-or-die week that freezes the winners and losers of 2026 in stone. While it's early to talk performance, Ferrari and Mercedes stand out as the two most ready forces in the paddock for leadership. When the Sakhir pit exit light turns on next week, we will be one step closer to the answer of who the true king of 2000. As the first phase of Bahrain testing concludes in the scorching heat of Sakhir, the paddock shares one consensus. Ferrari shocks and intimidates. The Scuderia's starting procedure genius, its flawless 4,000 kilometers reliability data, and the technical superiority that sent rivals running in desperation to the FIA have already established them as the absolute masters of 2026. Ferrari's biggest trump card isn't just the purple sector times, it's that flawless 16-race databank they possess while rivals tear themselves apart trying to close 2-second abysses. This data will grant them the luxury of applying the perfect energy map at every track within seconds during the first half of the season. Do you think Mercedes' smooth W17 unit or the Red Bull RB22's Ford-backed 344 km/h brutal raw speed will be enough to stop this red dominance? Or will Ferrari's early checkmate finish the 2026 season before we even reach Melbourne? On the other hand, can Adrian Newey and Aston Martin survive this 20 kilograms weight crisis and gearbox nightmare to return to the middle of the paddock? Let's discuss this massive technical war of 2026, Ferrari's starting trick, and the sandbags hidden by the teams in the comments. I will continue to analyze every telemetry leak from the depths of the paddock and every second of the second rendezvous on February 18 to 20 for you. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to catch the 2026 revolution and this massive engineering war. I wish you safe, stable and fastest exits from the pit at all times.